Great to see you again. I hope you liked the first tutorial. Today you will discover AOZ Studio's Integrated Development Environment, IDE for short, designed specifically to make programming in AOZ Studio easy and simple. So let's get on with it. In this large main window you will be writing your code. Here is the top menu with different buttons, and on the left side are the programs either made by you or by others, as well as the images and sounds that come with AOZ Studio. Now, in the main window I type a single program line, print hello. In the last tutorial we've discovered what print does, but just as a reminder, it is an instruction that allows you to display text on screen. It is one of the 800 instructions of the AOZ language. To make this simple program work, it has to be translated into another language understandable by internet browsers. This translation is called Transpilation. Aoz Studio automatically transpiles AOZ code into HTML and JavaScript, which work in all internet browsers. By pressing the play button or the F1 function key, Aoz Studio will transpile our code. Our program is automatically launched and displayed in our default browser. The other play button here, which is associated with the F2 key, also launches your program, but it opens up in the Aoz integrated browser, which provides programming assistance. Try it yourself. Pause the video and type the print code and press F2. Wow, fantastic! You have officially written a program. People soon will start calling you a genius. In summary, Aoz Studio is a complete IT development package. It offers a human-like and easy-to-understand programming language called AOZ, and a transpiler that converts your AOZ program with all of the resources into a language used by web browsers and other applications. It can be learned very quickly but performs with speed identical to most advanced languages. The legend has it that all AOZ programmers are wizards. Okay, now let me explain to you what menu buttons do. By pressing the New button, you will begin creating your brand new project. You can either create a blank project or choose from many pre-made and ready-to-use templates, including tutorials and other examples. For this lesson, let's choose a template that will allow you to create a program that will run on computers. Even so, you can at any time edit the code to run on other devices. When creating a new project, you can customize it to your preference. Here I'm changing its name to Hello. I'm going to keep the resolution as it is, as I like the nice full HD sharpness, but if your computer isn't powerful enough, setting it to 1280 by 720 pixels will require less processing power and will still look good. By selecting this box, I can keep my display proportions, which will maintain the chosen aspect ratio regardless of the screen resolution. With smoothing image, I can also set whether I want my image to be smooth or to be displayed pixel accurately. I can also show FPS, so I can monitor my game's performance. The higher the frame rate, the better, but maintaining 60 FPS is the sweet spot. And finally, this sets the default assets folder where our project media files are being stored. Load allows you to load a program written in AOZ, which is recognized by the extension .aoz. Also note that at the bottom right of the pop-up, .aoz extension is selected by default, but you can switch it to .aozip, which will compress the files into a single package. I will explain it in more detail later. Save As allows you to store your project files anywhere on your hard drive, where by default it's stored in the My AOZ Applications folder. From there, you can easily share your program with others. Backup is automatic, so whatever happens, you won't lose your most recent code. Now it's a good time to explain something important. In order for your program to work, AOZ code needs other files. We call them resources. These are images, sounds, HTML files, etc. Therefore, if you only have your .aoz file to give to your grandmother, it wouldn't work. But if you pack it with all its resources, your grandma can run your project in her copy of Aoz Studio and give you her feedback on it. So when you select the .aozip extension and save the project with Save As, all project files will be stored in one single .aozip file, which you can then easily share with anyone, including your grandma. Oh look, Magic is here. Hello! And he's off, probably looking for more stalactites to avoid. In summary, yes, you know I love to summarize, files with the extension .aoz are code of your program and will use the associated files. Files that end with the extension .aozip include all of your project files, code, images, sounds, etc. Packed into one single file easily shareable between machines and loaded into Aoz Studio with the Load button we talked about earlier. Back to the top menu. To the right from the Save As button, we have two Run buttons. These play our program in the default browser or the AOZ viewer, which is built into Aoz Studio. Next to the Run buttons we have the Publish button, which we talked about in the first tutorial. With it you can one-click publish your program on the web. Just smash that Publish button. Aoz Studio is now checking and preparing all of the files, small and big, and then generates a unique web link and/or QR code that can be shared and scanned by anyone with a smartphone, tablet, or computer. Note that if you modify and update your program later and use Publish again, your QR code and web link will remain unaltered. And here's me taking a photo of the QR code using my iPad to run the program. Cool, no? You know, there is also an option to set up your own publishing server, but it is complicated and we will leave it for now. That's why the Publish feature is a game changer and a great Aoz Studio feature. However, Publish is only available in the paid version of Aoz Studio, but the license is super cheap, a bargain, pretty much a steal. That's how cheap it is, and by paying for it, you will help to secure Aoz Studio's development future. Another incredible feature you will find in Aoz Studio is the Designer. Let me tell you what it does. Every game and app needs menus, tabs, buttons, images, animations, and you will have to program all of it from scratch. The good news is, it's also easy to create the user interface of your dreams with Aoz Studio. First, you might choose to use instructions such as Actor to manipulate images, UI to make interfaces, zone, etc. But with the Designer, you can do it even faster by manually drawing your layout, and the Designer will convert it into code automatically. Note that here I show you the first version of the Designer, which will evolve to include animations among other features. See how I'm arranging my Aoz Designer layout. I can place buttons, text areas, numbers and dates, sliders, drop-down lists, radio buttons, etc. I can define their look and behavior, choose their font, I can connect procedure to them to add additional behaviors, for example, to display a drop-down list after clicking the OK button. I'm speeding here because the next tutorial will be fully devoted to the Designer. You will be mesmerized from the speed at which you will be creating your games and apps, so stay tuned. Of course, you can edit all of the generated code as much as you like in the main window, and the Designer will automatically recognize parts of your code created in it and will update them. Awesome! Finally, by pressing the Update Code button, the Designer will build code directly in my program. Done! Now look at our print hello line and all the code automatically generated by the Designer. Cool, isn't it? Let's move on to the programming assistance buttons located here on the right and check what kind of magic they do. Speaking of magic, see this hat? By clicking it, or by hitting the escape key immediately after your program has finished, you will open the Direct mode. In the Direct mode window, there are buttons with which you can access useful information such as a list of project variables and their values. As the name of this mode suggests, in the small window below, you can directly enter Aoz instructions and immediately see results without going through Transpilation. It's a very useful feature to test your ideas before integrating it into your code. Next, there are 3 more icons at the top right, as well as the instruction manual. First is the Aoz Messages, but it's useless to you because I don't think you'll have any bugs in your program, like ever, right? But if for some reason, accidentally, there may be bugs in your code, the Aoz Messages window will automatically pop up informing you of what they are. Note that lines of your code that contain bugs will be displayed in a different color. And that's not all, as there is another tool in Aoz Studio that helps to locate any errors as well as view status of your variables, and it's called Debugger. And in order to activate it, all you need to do is to add Debug On instruction to your code. You know, it is easy to make a mistake and produce a bug, but that's how we learn, so a good debugger helps a lot. So in summary, if you encounter a bug in your code or just having a hard time figuring things out for yourself, Aoz Studio has you covered and will help you in resolving these problems. To the right, there are 2 more classic buttons, Parameters and Documentation. Oh shoot, I forgot the most visible one, the search bar. It is very useful when you need to find out how an instruction works. For example, when we type Actor, it will automatically open up the Aoz manual at the exact page, and it describes the innards of the Aoz language, meaning its instructions and functions. Just a quick note, this documentation is different from the Aoz user guide that we have already talked about. You can also open websites inside the editor itself. Just type your desired internet address into the bar. Alright, do you see the question mark on the right? It is a link to the instruction manual. Oh look, Magic is back. And he's gone again. Now let's talk about the left column File Explorer. It's like a treasure chest. In it you'll find my Aoz Applications folder, in which by default all of your programs are being stored under the name you gave them. Within each program folder are subfolders containing its images and icons, sound effects, music, etc. There's also an HTML folder generated by the Transpilation. On a side note, every time you create a new project, a new file called manifest is being created according to your project settings. It's a configuration file which stores data like your project's resolution, fonts used, and the Transpilation options, but there's no need to look into it at the moment, so eyes off for now. Back to the editor. You can open several programs at the same time, each under its own tab. If you're someone familiar with the include feature, you might be interested to know that we have an instructions set made specifically to divide your program into separate parts, which then you can view under their own tabs. Let's now look at the other folders. The manuals folder contains the user guide, which I strongly recommend you read to start with if you don't want to be humiliated by our technical support on Discord. You know Discord, right? It's a social website, like a chat, where many communities reside, including our own AOZ Studio community. You can also meet our development team there, always prepared and ready to help you out if you get stuck. Send us your feedback or ask for help. No shame. Next is the AOZ Store folder. As the name suggests, it is a store, where you'll find a plethora of games, demos, utilities, and tutorials. For example, inside the Cybnet folder is a file, main.aoz. When I open it, it's first being copied into the AOZ Inspirations folder, and then instantly opened in a new tab. Since it has been copied, you can now modify its code without losing the original copy, which is kept intact in the AOZ Store. And with all of these provided example programs like voice recognition, leaderboards, databases, etc., by downloading and analyzing and editing them, you will quickly learn how to program in the AOZ language. To summarize, in the main AOZ Applications folder, all of your programs are stored. Inside the AOZ Inspirations subfolder are programs bundled with AOZ Studio, which we have provided so that you can use and learn from them without any risk of losing original copies. In the Accessories folder, you'll find more helpful tools for learning programming. And in the Drives folder, you'll discover plenty of graphics and sound resources for your projects. There are many key shortcuts to make development easier. You will find the full list at the end of the user guide in the Manuals folder. When you click on any instruction and then press the F5 key, it will show a pop-up with all the information about the selected instruction and other related details. Also, see the links at the bottom of its window. To close the pop-up, just click X on the left. If, on the other hand, you click on any instruction and press the F6 key, AOZ Search will open the manual at the corresponding page. Another important shortcut is F11, which will toggle between full screen and windowed modes. Magic, that's too much. Go away. Alright, now it is yours, the young and aspiring programmer's turn to figure things out by yourself. Study the programs from the AOZ Store and modify them. Watch the other AOZ Studio tutorials. Ask questions freely on Discord. I know it might get complicated at first, that it might get tough, might be rough, and maybe you'll even get so frustrated that you'll want to smash your PC. But relax, take a deep breath because it's normal to fail sometimes. So read the user guide and manual and practice, practice, practice. Never give up. Be tough like Batman. Be strong like Superman. Be powerful like the Avengers. Smart like Doctor Who. And one day, you might also become like Magic. Magic!